Alright, it's Mark, and tonight's show is going to be all about sculpting and molding and casting. And so, so it looks like we have Sean, Mike, and ClayMaras here tonight. And Mike is also requesting we talk about time management, which is an interesting topic. Yeah, perhaps we can do that if there's enough time, for sure. Absolutely. But first, we are going to talk about sculpting and molding and casting. And the reason for tonight's topic is because a lot of people want to do stop motion, but they don't know where to start. And I think that if you're sort of new to getting into it, and you're thinking, well, I want to make a film, let's say, about cats and dogs or something. You might be kind of, stumped. Like, where do I begin? Like, what do I do to make a puppet? How big do I make a puppet, and so forth? And you probably have lots of questions. But the important part is to at least start somewhere. And at least for me, when I started out as a sculptor. When I was like 6 years old, I started picking up Play-Doh, and my parents would buy me modeling clay. And from there, I mean, I pretty much that led to connecting sculpting with animation, because I saw TV commercials, and Gumby was on TV, and Davy and Goliath. I was never really into Davy and Goliath, but I saw that stuff, and Ray Harryhausen, of course. His films were really big when I was growing up, in the 80s, pretty much, and then he sort of phased out around 1986 or so. He stopped making features, but Phil Tippett was another guy who worked for George Lucas on the Star Wars films, and he made the Tauntauns, and so I knew that I could probably sculpt puppets, but I had a lot of questions as to how to do that. My sculpting was really crude. I don't know about you guys, how well you all sculpt, but when I started out, it was I would take like slabs of clay and try to construct like castles with cannons and little miniature people, and all this kind of stuff. And it was kind of hit or miss. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any direction or anything like that. And you look at something like this picture that I have up here, which is Ozzy Osbourne, and it's a puppet for the Brisk iced tea commercials. And this is not actually clay. This is actually sculpted and cast. And this is a replacement face mask, and this pops off. And let me see if I can bring up the next photo. And of course, it won't just open in the same place. Let me close this, and maybe you can sort of see. Here's one of the replacement mouths, different from the other, where you can see the scale. Hopefully. And this required a lot of thought, and it required a lot of understanding of different artistic abilities, such as machining armatures and casting and molding and so forth. So it seems like a daunting task, if you're wanting to make a film and you're thinking, man, I can never. First off, I can't sculpt that good, and you've got all these mechanics and all this kind of stuff. So, when you're just starting out and you see something like this, it might actually deter you from wanting to get into making puppets, or inspire you. I don't know. Either way, just depends on the person. So some of the Israel Bistrine, is that it? Bistrine? Welcome to the show. So we have some people joining the chat right now. But there's a lot of different ways to sculpt, and of course I'm going to bring up a photo of Gumby, because this is a very simple puppet, and he's made of simple clay. I don't know if there's much of an armature in Gumby. I've seen pictures where he's just clay, and then I believe he might actually have an armature in some of the certain versions of Gumby. And I don't think he was always clay. I think they might have used like silicone or foam latex at one point. And they also use replacements, like if he goes through a book, they'll use clay and then slice them up. But it just kind of shows you, the differences between a really simple puppet and something like the brisk tea, iced tea commercials. So, all right. So Homestuck Yesh says bloob. Welcome to the show, Homestuck. So I don't know where you guys are at in terms of your sculpting abilities. I mean, I know the people in the chat, obviously, I've seen your work, but some of the stuff that inspired me was Will Vinton, his creations. And for example, this guy right here. So I can't remember. I'm pretty sure this is a Gary Bielke character here. And he's made out of Van Eyck and clay. And you can see there's some wire coming out of his mouth for whiskers, and he's got a metal earring. He's got some acrylic eyeballs as well. And so again, like, this is a different style, so you have variations of complexity in sculpting, and you can sculpt something straight out of clay and animate it if you're good at sculpting. That's something that's possible. The other thing you can do is to cast your character in some sort of casting material, such as a gypsum or plaster or Ultracal 30, for example. Ultracal 30 is a really popular casting medium, which is like a stone that you will cast something soft within it. Okay, so just kind of giving you guys an overview of what we're going to talk about, and an example of something that is cast. I'm going to see if I can find a picture here. Maybe, let's see, what would be a good photo? Something cast. I've got so many pictures that, I'm having a hard time. All right, here's one. Okay, so this here would be, of course, a Stegosaurus, which, you know what? I think this was actually, that was a build-up technique, so that wasn't cast. I'm actually wrong by saying that's cast. So let me find another picture. Darn. Ray Harryhausen. Okay, my Ray Harryhausen folder has lots of. All right, so we had the Cyclops, for example. He's an example of a molded and cast puppet. So. So basically something like Ultracal 30, I'm not sure if they used that exactly, but something like that, or plaster material, was placed over a sculpture, or molded over a sculpture to capture the details, and then cast in a soft foam latex. So if you have a puppet that is clay, you can't do that. You need a different technique. But anyway, I'm going to start off the show talking about different clays and their purposes, because there are a lot of different things you can choose from. If you're wanting to make a puppet, you should figure out what you want that puppet to be first. If you're new to stop motion, I would go with something like a plastiline clay. There's so many different brands. In America, Van Eyck is probably the most popular. Don Carlson also has Puppet Putty, which is something he actually designed for animating straight. So you're actually sculpting something and animating it. There's no casting involved. There's no painting. It's all straight. ClayMaras mentioning the deadline. That's right. Yeah, you know what? So after we talk about this. Let's see. So Mike, you were saying you want to talk about time management. Yeah, after this, I think we are gonna have to talk about, of course, our monthly challenges. ClayMara, you're right. You reminded me about that. Man, I can't believe how fast time has gone. Okay, yeah. So hopefully you're not the only one, ClayMara. I hope not, because weren't you the only one last time as well? That would be sad, but you know, we are going to show that, you know, at the end of the show, definitely. Yours and anybody else. Maybe it's actually good that we don't do this right off the bat, because if so, maybe some people still need time to upload their videos. Yeah, so if you guys do have anything that you've created, even if it's incomplete, please do upload it now, because if you did, we can at least discuss what you created. Okay, let me do something here. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeesh. And actually, you know what, ClayMara, in a sense, it's kind of good that we're talking about these topics tonight, because it does work into the monthly challenges. Because all your stuff is usually all clay, so this is good actually. Yeah, so Sean, I believe was starting one, I thought. Let me see here. Yeah, so here's our monthly challenges. Now, I know Sean said, okay, it's the Eve toy from Wally. Looks a bit like an owl. So he played with the idea, he says. Let's look. Yeah. So I think ClayMara, you might be the only one, unfortunately. But we are gonna watch that for sure. What do you guys want? Do you want me to play this now, or do you want me to do molding first? Because I'm kind of curious to see what this looks like. Maybe what we could do is I'll play this now. We'll discuss it, and then I'll refresh the page. And if there's anybody else that has any films, maybe they will have uploaded it before the end of the show. And so Mike says, I tried to participate this time, but I didn't make enough time for it. One of these days, he says. Okay. Well, you know what? I think I will play this now, just because I'm curious. I haven't seen this. I've actually held out. I haven't watched it since she posted it, because, you know, I wanted to make sure that if I watch people's videos, that I have I'm not going to be biased, and I can take everybody into consideration in case there's a hung vote. But anyways, let us watch, guys. So this is ClayMara's piece, and what did she say? She says the shako is an owl from Aruba, and is also the national symbol of Aruba. In this video, you will see him flying from cactus to cactus. The film is for all the Arubians. It took me 3 weeks to make it. It was very fun because it is something real and from Aruba. For the sculpting, I made a kiwi tree as background and 3 different size cactuses. The owl puppet has 2 different set of wings. That's kind of interesting. And the head can turn, and I had a handmade rig to make it fly. So that's really cool. And it says it is my first attempt on making it fly, and also figured out how to remove it in GIMP. Cool. So if you guys don't know what GIMP is, that's a graphics program. So ClayMara is saying she painted out the wires. So that's good. I mean, that's something new, and ClayMara is always expanding. So this is kind of neat. So Stop Mo Flick says, "Hey guys, I've been working on the challenge, ran out of time, but I'll try to upload a piece." Yeah, you know, that's okay if it's incomplete, guys, because, you know, even if it's incomplete, what you do create helps others learn, you know, when we discuss it, so that's fine. So now this is 1 minute and 27 seconds long. Wow. All right, let's play it.
ClayMara Clay Animations.
Alright, very nice. Now I'm gonna back that up again here to... We're gonna watch this owl one more time here. Alright, the flying rig seems to work really good, actually. I noticed on that last shot when he flies off that it's pretty smooth here. Let's check it out again here. And I didn't even see any of the wires, so you did a good job in GIMP for sure. Worked really well. Let's see that one more time here. Very cool. And so it's neat that you came up, even though there's no storyline, at least you have a basis for it, and it's really good. So got the 3 cactuses, and so there's 2 set of wings. I noticed when he flies, it's like maybe you use some kind of a plug-in system or something here. Let's see here. So he's got wings by his side. Then when he flies, very nice. And he does like a little blink there too. That's cool. And it's really, I like that you always kind of make like a, the whole thing is clay, it looks like a painting to me in some ways, which is really a neat style. And so, this works out perfect for tonight's topic that we're talking about. And so anybody that's in the chat, if you did have a short film, just let me know. Okay, so that I can refresh this page and post the link after ClayMaras post here, and I'll refresh this page later. So if you post it, we can all watch it. And ClayMaras says I have a Facebook page where I post videos. And let's see. You know what, ClayMaras, if you can post your link. I don't see it here. Did you post it on our forums anywhere? Because I'd like to see that actually. I could bring that up. Let's see. I'm gonna open it up on YouTube here on the side and let's see. Oh, okay. You know what? I found it. Let's see. So ClayMaras, Yes. Yeah, thanks for sending that along here. Let's see. So here is, I found underneath her video in the description. So if anybody else wants to find her links, she has a Twitter, Facebook, and even a Tumblr page. And here is her Facebook. And yeah, I remember this page. This is actually pretty new. So let's see some pictures. So my work for today is going to be a colorful flower field, and this is on May 7th now. Takes me about 6 hours to make this. It's pretty small in size. Bigger sets also take a lot more time, but I hope to put a lot more details into this one. So that's neat. And again, it's like a painting, you know, which I really like that style. And so here is the owl. So here's what the rig looks like right there. And you can see the wires going to the wings from underneath as he flies. So all that was removed by ClayMaras in GIMP. Yeah, thanks ClayMaras. And Ron Cole says, I was told that this week's episode was on Thursday. Oh, you know what, Ron? We're going to have 2 shows, tonight and tomorrow, but I didn't announce that yet. But yes, we're going to have a special show tomorrow at the same time at 8 p.m. Central. But Dan Metal Madcat is going to be translating for our special guest. So, so let's see now. This here, is this the behind the scenes video? Let's see. See if I can expand this here. There we go. This might be the same video.
Clay animations.
I gotta wait to find out.
Okay, so this is what the puppet looks like now. It's totally wrapped, and this is the stable thingy I made to support it. So the body goes in there, and let me see if it still works. The body goes right over there, and then I have 2 different kinds of wings. I have these ones, closed wings, and I have the open ones. Alright, so then I have to put this back here because I need 2 hands for this. Alright. And then we just put it in there. And then we put this in there. Everything cracks and breaks, and well, that's basically the idea behind it. Also, the body is existing, as you can see, about 3 parts. The wings, the head can turn completely. Well, the owl's head cannot turn completely, they can only turn about this far. But I did that by putting like a little thing in there, and then have the hole, and then the face, and then just we put it, whoop, done. Alright, that's it for this time. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please watch this video about the Loco Shoko when it's done. Alright, thank you guys. Bye bye.
Alright, so a little bit of behind the scenes video there of how the owl was constructed, and also the rig as well. And here's a photo. You can see the background. Very nice. So if anybody does, like I say, upload any videos, just let me know, and I will definitely show your videos tonight. And here's her intro, which we've seen before. Okay, lots more pictures here too. So you can see the scale is maybe 4.5 inches maybe or so. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying before, what we were talking about, which is sculpting. And ClayMara is using, I believe, like a polymer clay here. And there's a lot of different clays you can use out there. And oil-based clays are great, especially like here you can see ClayMara. Actually, she posted this photo of this grass field, which is got, it's got like 3 shades of green in there. Really, like, it's just really beautiful to look at that. But mixing colors is very simple to do in oil-based clays that are soft and made basically for animation purposes. And so I'm not gonna, let me see here. So let me just see up top here. So if you guys want to find ClayMara's Facebook page, ClayMara on Facebook, just do a search, and you can find her page, and you can see more of her photos and behind-the-scenes videos. And Artur Lima is saying, how can I show my videos? Sorry, just tuned in now. Artur, what we're doing right now is we were looking at ClayMara's entry to our monthly challenge, which was about owls. So if you do have an animation related to that, post it on our site. You want to go up top, and we have our monthly challenge area, and you would click on monthly challenges, and it says here click to enter. Okay, so you click on this. This goes for anybody, anybody that has an account on the site. And then under the topic of April 9th to May 13th, owl, you click it, and you're going to want to reply to this thread, okay? And if you do so, you want to just post your link to your YouTube video, basically. So that's how you would do it. So if you do have one and you upload it and there's time tonight, we have about 30 more minutes left, we'll go ahead and show it. Okay, so thank you, ClayMara, for your entry. And if ClayMara is the only one with a complete entry, she is the automatic winner. So she will win well, there's a prize basically of one of our video downloads, one of our tutorials, or our ebook. And so if you don't have those already, ClayMara, congratulations. And we will definitely talk to each other after the show about that. So if anybody has any other questions, just let me know. But that's basically it. Just if you guys ever do enter the challenges, it's as simple as posting your YouTube link, just like ClayMara did right here. And that's it. All right. So as ClayMara demonstrated with her clay owl, ClayMara is does not have a large studio like Leica or Aardman Animations, and of course most of us, especially especially me, are limited in budget, because unless you do like a Kickstarter campaign or Indiegogo nowadays, it's really hard to raise funds to make a stop motion film. So ClayMara really illustrated exactly what I was going to talk about, which is, basically making a simple clay puppet is, something you can do to tell a story, and it doesn't have to be super complex. Art Clokey is the master of making simple puppets with his Gumby and Pokey puppets. As you can see here, let me see. Very simple puppets, but elegant and smooth and expressive. You don't need to make anything complicated to tell a story. So keep in mind, the first kind of clay we would talk about are oil-based clays, and those are clays which are usually found in hobby shops. They're found in you can get like Vatican clay on the internet. There's New Plas clay in the UK. New Plas clay is very popular, and there's Puppet Putty on our store as well, which is designed specifically for animating without casting. You're not really buying that kind of clay for casting purposes. It's designed to be flexible, less crumbly, less transfer of the pigments on your fingers and so forth. So oil-based clay is really important. There's also polymer clay and water-based clay, and each kind of clay has their own purposes. And let me close this here and start this up. But water-based clays like wet clay, let me see here, I'm going to open up, let's just go on Amazon. So if you're going on the internet, I'm just doing a random search here. ClayMaras says, oil-based clays are my best friend. Yes, mine also. But wet clay is something that a lot of people can consider purchasing, and there's a lot of types of water-based clays. But wet clay is, what it stands for is Walter E. Disney clay. And you can use it to sculpt, but it's not something that's used that much in stop motion. Water-based clay a lot of times is used for sculpting things like creatures, something that you would make full scale. So let's say you're making again, I'll just reference the Star Wars films. So you have all these characters, in Jabba the Hutt's palace or something. That's like a really popular scene that most people know about. And water-based clay is used almost exclusively for those kinds of applications because you can sculpt fast with it. It's very, very soft, and as it starts to dry, you can sculpt detail into it, finer and finer details. So when it's still kind of moist and fresh out of the bag and you're sculpting with it, you can just kind of throw the clay on your armature or whatever you've got, some sort of understructure from styrofoam or wadded up aluminum foil or something, or a life cast is another example. And you can basically throw the stuff on there. You'll use tools like your fingers, which are the most basic things because everybody has them, all the way to rakes, which are tools that you can scrape the clay with. There are wax spatulas, which most people are comfortable using because they're sort of like a small spoon shape that are universal. You can hold it like a pencil and sculpt. There's one of the great things about water-based clay is you can smooth it with water. So you can take a sponge and you can just go over the surface and smooth it out. Now this here, I'm just randomly on Amazon.com. I don't usually use Amazon.com to buy my clay, but they have it here. So let's just click on Laguna's wet clay here. It kind of tells you a little bit about what it's used for. It says here, like what I was just saying, used in the special effects and motion picture industry, and it's fairly inexpensive. It's $20 plus $9 shipping, it says, and I think it knows that because I might be logged in here unbeknownst to me, so it might know my area code, but it depends on where you live. So if you try to buy this in, let's say you live in Germany and you're buying it from America, the shipping is going to be like, $50, or maybe more. It depends on how much you buy. This is 25 pounds, so imagine shipping 50 pounds of clay to Germany from California. It's going to be expensive, but it's not, like I say, it's not really used so much in in stop motion. I mean, you could use it to sculpt a puppet, but you know the puppet is so small, and with wet clay, the reason you don't want to sculpt puppets out of it, the main reason is that it dries out fast if you have it in a thin sort of ribbon. So if you make like a human-shaped character, what's going to happen is all the arms and the legs are going to dry out, and when it does that, if it fully dries out, depending on what is underneath it, if the clay has a lot of shrinkage and you have a hard armature under it, the clay will shrink, the hard understructure won't, and it will crack. So actually this here, you can kind of see some cracking around the edge here. It looks like this might be a dry piece as opposed to a moist piece of clay. So cracks are not really good, and then you're filming something that is small, and those cracks will look like the neck is broken. But if you're making something like a large prosthetic piece that the camera is far away, full scale 6-foot tall sculpture, you're probably not going to notice a little crack. So it has its purposes, but not really something you want to use. Now we can go and look for like Van Aken clay, and these prices are sometimes outrageous on Amazon, to be honest. $8.44 for 1 pound of brown modeling clay, right? But I believe this is stocked in Japan, if I recall. On Amazon.com they have these suppliers that are let's see, yeah, I believe this is in Japan. Man, I know it probably says it here someplace, but yeah, usually you can get this for, it says here 26 new from $3.19. So $3.19 is about what I would pay. I would not pay, twice that amount if I didn't have to. So ClayMaras says you can use it for a base example. If you want to have a huge castle, you can sculpt it in drying clay and cover it with a thin layer of oil-based clay. That's true. You could. Definitely. I didn't think about that. So yeah, it's possible to use water-based clay for sets. I was thinking more on lines of puppets. When I was saying it's not good for puppets because anything thin, it's just gonna crack. But you can see here some of the prices, and they also have different vendors as well. I don't sell Van Aken clay on my website, if you guys are curious, but we will get to Puppet Putty later on here. Let me see. But Van Aken is a really popular choice. And there's also Nuplast, which is another kind of oil-based clay that's really popular. And so I don't know if you can order this everywhere in the world. We sell it on our website, and we only sell 2 types. Let me go in the clay section here. And this is from our supplier in the UK, Animation Supplies. If you guys know who I'm talking about, they sent us a bunch of this clay recently, and it's multicultural and rainbow, so it's kind of like you can get a whole bunch of colors in one pack, and so it's pretty nice. You get yellows, reds, browns, black, and like a white color, off-white. And also with the rainbow colors, you get a very vivid white, you get blue, like a kind of olive brownish color, purple, green, and so forth. More vivid colors. We offer that for almost $5, and that's over a pound of clay there. But you can go on also Amazon. They sell it for a little bit more money, but they have different colors that we don't have. So this is really the only place I know to get it internationally is unless I wanted to go on what is it, animationsupplies.net, but I don't know if they deliver internationally their clay. Not sure. But it's a great clay. It's oil based. Sometimes the clay that they offer Nuplast, certain colors do dry out and get hard as a rock, which is not such a great thing. But it's great for basically sculpting a character straight. Whereas clay tune, which you see here, you can actually melt. So there's benefits to certain clays. Clay tune will melt, which means that you can pour it into a mold. Nuplast will not. It will get soft and sort of mushy. So the benefit to it is that you can take it and you can see if I can expand it. You can see the color range here. You can heat it up, get it soft, and push it into a mold. And the mold has to be fairly firm. And when you press it into the mold, it will sort of spread out and get into all the details. And when you do that, it's not really as nice as pouring it into a mold, because when you pour it, it sort of flows into all the details really nicely if you have fine details. So you kind of have to modify your sculpting style to be not so detailed with Nuplast clay. So you'll notice like Aardman Animations, their characters, Wallace and Gromit, they don't have a lot of real detail to them. But something like Wallace's vest would be cast in plastic, which has all those lines. So there's limits to it, but it's a great clay as well. And then so there's also puppet putty, and this is something that I offer for Don Carlson, who designed this kind of clay, and it's really I like it a lot. Recently, my nephew, he's, how old is he now? I guess he's about 8 years old. He was in music class, and he had a project to do where he had to sculpt a musician from the 1800s. And I can't remember his name because I never heard of him before. But he had a picture of him that he printed out. And I use this stuff, and there's two different kinds. There's a soft formula and normal. And the soft is really easy to sculpt. It's very extremely pliable. You can sculpt super fast. And it's great for things like puppet mouths and stuff, for example. So if you're sculpting a mouth and you want to sort of have it really flex as a character talks, it's great. And then for ClayMara, like ClayMara makes her sets out of all clay, and so the firmness isn't as important. It can be more firm, I would imagine, for trees or cactuses and things like that she was doing. And you would use just the normal formula. So that's puppet putty. And it is oil-based, and it's non-toxic as well. I don't think there's really any clays out there that are super toxic, but it's a great clay. And then there's also Roma clay. And I'm using this right now to sculpt some hands. And normally I buy this at, where did I buy this last time? I think Berman Industries in California. They might be a seller here, but there's also Sculpture House, which is another popular company to sell. Now there's different variations of this clay, different hardnesses. There's soft, there's medium, and medium firm, and I think there's a firm also. I believe there's maybe 4 firmnesses. But this here is about, I think, how many pounds is this? It's like 1.5 pounds or something like that. It's actually a lot of clay. And you can smooth it with alcohol, and you can heat it up under a heat lamp, which is basically just a utility lamp that you sort of put over the top of your clay. And it's got, I think, sulfur in there, so it's kind of smelly. But this is good for sculpting where you don't need, for example, you're not going to see this as a sculpture on your set, right? So if you're going to cast your character, this is the kind of clay you would use to cast with. Depending on how strong your hands are, if you're, let's say, a girl and You know, you don't use your hands like, you know, in gardening, or you don't play guitar, you don't do anything that, you know, makes your fingers strong. Soft is good, but if you like to sculpt a lot of very fine details, you would go with something like the more firm versions of this. And I don't really know why they have so many varieties of prices. You know, gray green number 2 medium for $25 versus $12 versus $10. You know, I don't understand the structure of that. Maybe it depends on sort of, you know, each manufacturer maybe buys a certain amount. And Artur, the secret key is usually not needed for anything on the website. But if you have any issues, just let me know. Send me an email or something, and I can help you. Hopefully, you're not having any login problems. But so anyway, so Roma Plastilina is another oil-based clay. And how much time we have left? Almost like 15 more minutes. Okay, so that's water-based and oil-based clays. And so let me talk about polymer clays now, and why you would use these. So again, Roma Plastilina is not something you would actually see on set. You would use this for casting characters. So you would take like Ultracal 30, and after you sculpted this, you would make a mold of this. Okay, so that's the benefit there. And so let's see here now. Okay. And then there's polymer clays, and polymer clays are used mainly for sculpting things like props, any sort of things that you would see on a table in an apartment, or maybe as decoration on a wall on your puppet sets. That would be what you would use polymer clays for. And what this stuff is basically a mix of well, polymers, right? And when these are baked in an oven at a certain temperature, they become really hard. And I think ClayMaras also had some pictures on her Facebook page where she was making these little like pendants for you know, hanging off your neck. And of a similar kind of clay. And the benefit to this is that you can sculpt a lot of fine details in polymer clay. It's very flexible. Some of the bad parts to it are that if you try to sculpt something really thick and heavy with it, it tends to crack after it cools when you bake it. And one of the tricks you can use to get around that is you put it in your oven, you bake it, then you let it sit in your oven with the oven door opened until it slowly cools. But there's a lot more benefits than negatives about it. You can sand it when it's actually hard. You can drill through it. You can glue things to it. You can paint it. You know, the sky is the limit with polymer clays. The part that I would say you would not use polymer clay for is sculpting a large puppet with to cast. Definitely go with something like the oil-based clays, because it's an expensive clay. So for, you know, 1.75 pounds of white, this is about almost $11. And if you guys can hold on for just 2 seconds. My cat wanted to get it out. So oil-based clays are better for sculpting like large puppets, but this kind of clay, like I say, is more expensive, and it's really designed for a specific purpose, which is to be baked. And so if you have something, let's say like a baseball bat you want to make for a puppet, it's a good clay to sculpt in for like a long, narrow object like that, because you can bake it, let it harden, and then sand it smooth. Now if you try to do that with an oil-based clay that does not harden, say for a clay puppet that's playing baseball, and you make the baseball bat out of something like Van Eyck clay, you can do that, but the clay itself will tend to distort when you animate it. Something like this is hard when you bake it, so there's less to clean up as you animate, for example. So there's Sculpey, there's Fimo, there's Polyform, Sculpey. They have a lot of different names. So here's Fimo. Now, Fimo, for whatever reason, and I don't really understand why, but it is a more expensive clay, okay? It's the more expensive of all the polymer clays. Maybe there's a benefit to it that I am missing. I've used it before, but I find that it tends to dry out the quickest, quicker than even Super Sculpey. And they sell dilutants, what they call dilutants, which are it's like a liquid that is compatible and you can mix in with your Sculpey or Fimo. So if it does dry out, you just take your Sculpey dilutant, put a few drops on there, and it can sort of reconstitute itself. So that is polymer clay. And so that covers the clays and kind of basically what you can do with each type. Now if you are not just sculpting a puppet for animating directly, you will want to mold your character, and molding is done with different materials as well. And I'm going to see if they have it on here. It's almost like Amazon has everything, but okay, well this would work too. Hydrocal 5-pound pail for $20 is very similar to Ultracal, but they don't have Ultracal, do they? I guess they don't. Alright, well Hydrocal is a very similar product, so let's look at this. It says here it's a multi-purpose gypsum cement ideal for both solid and hollow casting of lamp bases and figurines. Yeah, so this is actually more specialized, but high green strength minimizes breakages during removal from the most intricate latex molds. So you can still use this. If you're casting a puppet in, for example, silicone or foam latex, this is something that you would use. And this is like a common material, popular in casting puppets as well as prosthetics and monsters and all kinds of stuff. And so that's sort of one of the main materials. But Ultracal 30 is probably more run-of-the-mill, like everybody knows it and is acquainted with it. Now let me see what I can find here. Oh, actually we could talk about this too. And then there's a molding material, which now if you use, like I say, any kind of Ultracal or anything like that, you're going to be basically casting a soft puppet from it. Something that can be pulled out of the mold and the mold will not destroy it. Whereas if you try to cast something like a plastic part or prop and it's being cast or poured into a mold that is hard, a lot of times it will get locked, and you don't want that, because then you'll basically ruin your mold and your part won't come out, and waste your time. So if you're going to cast hard props, something like let's see, maybe maybe you're making something like a cell phone, for example, that has a plastic finish to it and it's hard, and you want to cast it in plastic, or you want to cast it in some sort of you could actually even cast something like that if you wanted to in a dental stone or ultracal and then paint it, but it'd be kind of heavy. But still, something hard would be cast for a prop in most cases. So if that's the case, you want to use something soft as a mold so that the mold can flex and you can pull out the hard piece. Mold builder is actually something you can find pretty much anywhere. I've seen this stuff in Hobby Lobby, Michael's craft stores, places that sell model trains, for example, will carry this. It's really popular. And oh, I didn't click on that. I clicked on this. Maybe this is a new product. I think they screwed up here. Yeah, they put the wrong picture here. This is actually this here is latex, and then the product that they link to is silicone. Alright, well anyways, latex is a casting material that comes in a container like this. You can also go on eBay and find this, and it's basically like, it's got a consistency to something like pancake batter, and you would build this up in layers on your part that you want to cast, and you want to cast about maybe 5 layers per mold. It has to be kind of thick. And you can also take latex like this and you can mix in sawdust, and that can, so that the first layer would be to get all the detail. Second layer would strengthen that layer, and then the third layer could be a mixture of latex and sawdust just to fill up the space and thicken it, and then you can finally coat it with one more layer after that. And then when you cast in this latex, not silicone, it's very inexpensive to do that, and it's normally like less than $10 per pound of this stuff. But this here, unfortunately, they screwed up. This is actually a different product with the wrong picture. But silicone is another product. Here's one from Smooth On. And there's this, I think Dragon Skin is a really popular one, or GI 1000 is another popular one. There's a lot of different kinds. But silicone is used for casting clay characters that you want to melt your clay into, and then freeze it, and then pull your clay head or replacement part out of. And this here is a pint unit for about $40. I've seen silicone sell for around $75 a gallon on average, but that is one material that is popular for casting. And you can see here, yeah, see, this here is a push mold. This is what you would do. You'd cast something in silicone and then push your, in this case, Fimo or other kind of clay into it. And this is a popular technique for new plast clay using silicone. It's basically, this is the mold, and then you push your clay into it to get your rose like this. Again, I go usually to Berman Industries for my silicone casting materials, but I live in the US, and they have pretty much all the stuff that I need. But there's like the Smooth On website. There are a few manufacturers of silicone. There's especially a large number from Asia. A lot of companies making silicone right now. But here's one, Smooth On silicone mold making rubber. It's $25.47 for, let's see how much volume there is here. I think this is like 2 pounds or so. Let's see. We could get into shore harnesses, but right now I think there's not enough time because we're just about out of time here. Okay, so it's 1.2 pounds. So it's about a little bit over 2 pounds for $25, and that is silicone. Yeah, so that's really about all the time we have. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any questions. I don't know how familiar you guys are with these things, but if you have any questions right now, I can answer some. And but casting and sculpting are, of course, needed in just about every area of stop motion in some form or another, no matter if you're doing something simple or complicated. It's almost always used. Of course, unless you're like George Pal and you're carving your characters out of wood or something. It's and even he went into molding and casting with wax characters after a while because it was a lot simpler. But let me see if I can find a good picture here. Here we go. So again, replacement faces are extremely common to be cast. As you can see, what there are these doughboy heads, a lot of heads, and all different expressions. And these are probably all cast in plastic, probably sculpted in an oil-based clay, molded in a silicone, and cast in a hard resin. So, this is something that you don't usually see so much. You don't see how these things are done. You usually just see like the replacement faces. But like I say, everybody in stop motion is using those very simple materials to make really awesome things. So never discount the simplicity of some of these things and overlook them because you can do a real lot with them. And Ron Cole says, no, do not buy Umu silicone. That is the only silicone I've ever known that goes bad, and it goes bad quickly. Really? Are you talking about the Asian manufactured silicones out there? I've been getting a lot of like emails and stuff from Asia, people trying to sell me silicones. And actually, you know what, Ron? I think somebody else complained about that too. Somebody, one of these companies went on my friends list on Facebook and started to like spam people, which I can understand. They're trying to make a living, but I think it's rubbing people the wrong way. People are getting mad at them. But anyway, guys, we are out of time. Hopefully, if you guys are... Here's a casting of the Pillsbury Doughboy from a hard mold to soft silicone, or not soft silicone, soft foam latex, most likely. So again, this would be like the Hydrocal or Ultracal mold making for this, with all the flashing and ugly stuff everywhere. Oh, okay, so it's from Smooth On, Ron says, and he was shocked that it went bad because all their other products are great. I haven't tried that yet. Is it super soft by any chance? Like, are you making it, casting a puppet from it, or are you molding a puppet, like molding it over clay? And I wonder if it goes bad because maybe it's not compatible with your clay too. Because some silicones don't work well with sulfur and clay, which is why a lot of people use what they call clean clay, which you don't really need to use that because there's a lot of other clays to choose from. But and Ron says, I worked on a Doughboy ad. It may have been the last stop motion one ever. Yeah, I remember when the first CGI Doughboy commercial came out. I was like, what is that? Yeah, here's another example of casting. You can see foam latex does not last forever, unfortunately. It does tend to rot and deteriorate just like anything else, but much faster than other materials. So you almost need to either make a casting of your foam latex puppet and animate it right away, or store it in a way that moisture doesn't get to it, because it tends to break down. Especially if you look at like some of Ray Harryhausen's puppets over time, those things they look like they were put in acid, like boiled in acid or something. And Ron says it's a kind of ordinary tin-based silicone, and it's good when it's good, but it dries out in the container pretty quick. Okay. Welcome to the live show, Henry. You know, we're actually wrapping up right now, so but next, let's see, tomorrow, let me bring up something real quick. We do have a special guest tomorrow on the show, and Dan Metal Man Cat wrote to me, and he said he'd like to have somebody on the show, and let's see if I can find his message here. Gotta backtrack a little bit in my Facebook messages because so many people write to me. It's kind of hard to reply to all you guys out there. I apologize if you're needing something and I don't get back to you so soon. So I want to make sure I get the name properly. That's what I'm looking for. And let's see. Let's see. Okay, so his name is Dante Sargentini, and he's going to be in our show tomorrow. And so Dan said he had talked to him about being potentially on the show where he could take part. And he says that in his past he's worked very hard in stop motion workshops all by himself, and he's been quite successful in the past years making workshops, and even in Photoshop and After Effects. So he's kind of a jack of all trades. He has his own studio named Manija Studio, and a short based on a character who has Down syndrome is one of the films that he made. So tomorrow we will talk to him for an hour, and you know, I don't know much about him because I'm going to be learning and asking questions right along with you guys if you are able to come to the show tomorrow, and we're going to find out more about him and just kind of explore and see what we can learn. And it's always fun to listen to other people's experiences and just to kind of get inspired, and hopefully I'll have some pictures and a Facebook page to show you guys as well. So tune in for that tomorrow. Alright, so anyways, it is past 9 o'clock, and I will see you guys all tomorrow, and if not, see you all next Wednesday, the same time, same place. See you all later.